Okay, Alana, I've got good news for you. We're going to learn something really important today. And by we, I mean not you or I mean the listeners. And by learn, yes, I mean we're going to pick up where we left off last episode. And you know what's cool about the part two that we're recording today? You can actually listen to part two and then go back and listen to part one if you didn't hear it, and it'll still totally make sense. But if you already listened to part one last week, and you're picking up for part two today, that's also great and it'll also make sense. Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is the No Excuses podcast. I'm Ryan Montes. I'm with Alana Banks.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. And okay, so last week we talked about what is success. We defined being successful. And you found this list on the internet of 10 powerful keys to success. You'll have to listen to part one to know why we're laughing about the title. 10 keys to success. And we left off at number 5 last week, which was learn from your mistakes. And this week we're going to go through 6 through 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do our best. Number 6, powerful key to success is to try different strategies. Try different strategies, people. Okay, what does that mean, Alana?
Yeah. So when I first looked at this, it kind of reminded me of prepare for the unexpected. But then as I thought about it a little bit more, it's kind of making me think of having flexibility with whatever gets thrown your way. And kind of like what Ryan was saying before, like there's multiple ways to get downtown. Or some other people maybe like there's more than one way to skin a cat. I think that's the other saying.
Yeah.
But, not being so stubborn or stuck on it has to be this way, right? Like that sort of black and white thinking where you're not open to seeing other options.
Yeah.
I think that's so important when it comes to getting to your goal, because sometimes it's going to be presented to you in a way that you were not expecting. And you may block it, or you may, not go after it because you're just so blinded by it has to be this way.
Yeah. Change the route, not the destination.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the gist of this tip. Try different strategies. It's that I think a lot of people, especially people who remain stuck for a long time, are so fixated on one way of getting what they want, and they lose sight of the fact that there's many ways to reach your destination. There's more than one way to get downtown, right? If the highway's closed, take the surface streets. If the surface streets are closed, get out and walk, right? Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're growing a business, the same thing is true. And you're building a life of success and freedom, the same thing is true,
Yeah. It also makes me kind of think of is like, if you're so focused on like, the only way I can get to that success is by doing this one thing, right? Like say it's one-on-one coaching, right? Say listeners, you're a coach and you're like, no, I'm so committed. I'm only doing one-on-one coaching. But you have like this audience of people who are just like, do a group thing, It's like the universe is like, do something with a group. I want that. But you're so blinded by the fact that you have to make your money or your business successful through one-on-one coaching, then you're missing out on this like amazing opportunity that's over here.
Yeah.
Right. So it's always important just to kind of like be open, right? Like be open-minded, listen, see different signs that are coming in from the universe.
Yeah. Those are the gold, and try different things, right?
Yeah.
Be flexible. Again, be flexible on the route, not the destination, right? Unless you're halfway to the destination and a much better destination presents itself to you, then okay. Then switch that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I like that one. Try different strategies. Be flexible. Behavioral flexibility. Right?
If at first you don't succeed, try another way. This is in italics and bolded, so I figure it's worth mentioning.
Oh, we're looking at different parts of the article. I'm just looking at like the list of subtitles at the top of the page. So I don't have it.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go on to the next one. That was number 6. Try different strategies. Number 7. This is a good one. Number 7
yeah.
is take smart risks, Alana. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Smart risks. I like that they added smart risks because you don't want to go crazy,
Yeah.
investing maybe like all of your money into this one thing and then it doesn't work and you want to calculate your risks, but I think yes, it's important to be open.
The way I like to think of taking calculated risk in seeking success is that at some point you're probably going to need to bet on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do so, I mean, the odds are actually not bad that you're going to win big. And some years ago, I really bet on myself. I didn't have the money to invest in the training and business development that I really wanted to. And I wound up putting a large balance on a credit card, knowing that it was 20% annual interest and knowing that, it could compromise my quality of life long term if things didn't go my way. But, I really carefully considered the skills I was going to get, the training I was going to get, what level of effort I was willing to exert in the coming weeks, months, and years. And I chose to bet on myself in that way. And man, it paid off. The return was huge. Now, listeners, I want to be really clear. I am not giving you advice. I am not saying everybody should do this and take on debt and, it's going to pay off. I'm saying I chose to take a calculated risk, accept the potential consequences. And for me, I'm really glad that I did. It advanced my success and freedom journey by, I don't know, 5 or 10 years easily, and led me to where I am right now. So when I think of, this take smart risks, for me, that was a smart risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because, not to get too much into my own personal story, by the time I decided to take on that smart risk, I had a couple of careers under my belt. I had been a soldier. I'd been around the block a few times. And, I was confident in my future, right? So I took what was technically a risk, deciding that it was going to pay off,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And, you know, on the path to success, on the path to freedom, those opportunities are going to come along. And sometimes it is a good idea. Again, I'm not giving anyone advice, but sometimes it is a good idea to take a smart risk.
Yeah. And I like too that you talked about self-trust because I think for me personally, this has been the biggest thing in business, is just really trusting my intuition and trusting like what's coming to me and going with that, right? Like, because I think at one point I would sort of get ideas and I would be like, ooh, that's too risky. I don't want to do that. That's really pushing me out of my comfort zone. Um, but the more I take these smaller risks, right, that are maybe coming from my intuition or these little ideas or these little nudges, the more evidence I have that when I do that, it works out in my favor. So, taking these small little risks can turn into something really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So, working on just trusting yourself and making small decisions without asking, your partner, your family, your friends. That was me before. Like I couldn't make a decision without being like, do you think I should do this? What do you think of this? Now it's easy. I just make a decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got
So
it.
number 8 is learn from the experts.
I like this one. Number
Yeah.
8, learn from the experts. I would call this modeling. And I
Yeah.
would call this the principle of don't reinvent the wheel. If there's something you want to do, find the person out there who's already done it and has written about it or teaches a course about it or, shares their wisdom somehow. And then here's the trick. Step 1, as is their process. Find an expert who does what you want to do well, learn from them, and then as is their process until you're able to receive or to achieve similar results to them. Step 2, then innovate and add your own personality to the mix and make it even better.
Yeah.
Don't make the mistake that a lot of people make, is learn from somebody, learn from the expert, and before you're getting reliable, predictable results, inject all your own flavor and ideas and take on things, because then your results become unpredictable.
Yeah.
But learn from experts,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I love that. And when when I started my fabric store, that's exactly what I did. I found one that was in the US that I loved. I modeled it and I brought it to Canada. And, you know, now at the time, there was only like, I think 4 of me in Canada, but now there's like many, 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 many. But I didn't reinvent the wheel, like I was just like, I'm going to not copy, but model what these people are doing. And then once I was up and running, then I started my own stuff. Then I was like able to tweak things and make it more my own.
Yeah.
But also finding like mentors too, right? When you're learning from the experts, like you may want to model someone, but you also may really look up to someone too and have that person be your mentor, hire a coach. That's all really helpful because there's no point starting from scratch because there's so many people out there who have already done what you probably want to do. And that's how you're going to quantum leap your results, is working with someone who's already been through it.
Yeah. Agreed. Take trainings with qualified experts, read the books, get mentors. These are, sometimes slightly costly investments, but often well worth it. These are the closest thing to a shortcut in attaining success, is having a quality mentor, taking quality training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when it comes to your self-image, it's also really important to look or learn from the experts. What about them? What about their image do you love? And what can you take on as your own, right? As your own image, to be more like them.
Cool. Agreed. We did, when I was on this trainer's training course for NLP a couple of years ago, and we did a few exercises where we would do that. We would model the energy of people that we admired. We would model the posture of people that we admired. We would model, the language and all these different sort of abstract things from the people that we admired, and aim to unconsciously install them in ourselves, which is very much doing what Alana's describing, affecting the self-image, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when, even going further back, a number of years ago, I took some professional training in stand-up comedy, right? I actually took it for fun, just as something to do and to push myself outside of my comfort zone a little bit. But I paid money for 6 or 8 weeks of, a 90-minute lesson with a real professional stand-up comedian, somebody who's been on television, somebody who's very popular. And one of the things he suggested is, if you're serious about getting good at comedy, watch a ton of stand-up comedy on YouTube, on television, on Netflix, whatever. Not so that you can steal their jokes, not so that you can, model what they're saying per se, but just so that you can allow their energy to permeate your unconscious mind. And, unconsciously model, not the specific person or the specific words, but the theme, the genre, the act, so to speak, which I thought was really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good advice, because at the end of the day, what would the person with your goal be doing? How would they be acting? Like what is their personality like? How are they walking into a room? How are they greeting people? How are they, having conversations? So that's, in alignment with that kind of work, right? Like modeling those people.
Yeah. If you want to be a billionaire, probably a good idea to go and read the books that were written by Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. Probably a good idea to really closely study the news articles about them, the interviews with them. What are they saying? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
It's different than the way you're thinking. right?
Yeah, there was also this advice that was really good given by I can't remember the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Jack Canfield?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I saying that right?
So
Let's
he was talking about people who have a goal where, they want to have, they want to have $1 million or they want to have like $1 million life or something like that. And they want a yacht. But what most people don't do is they're just like wishing for that. They're not actually figuring it out. And I remember hearing an interview where he was like, he tells people who want this, well, if that's what you want, then you need to start researching what type of yacht do you want? How much money a year would it cost to insure something like that? Where would you keep it? What's the maintenance of something like that like? Like really going into the details of what it would be like to be someone who owns a yacht. And most people are just like, oh, yeah, I want a yacht, but they don't really know what that entails, right? So that's also, if that's the type of life you want, then you want to learn from an expert. You want to maybe talk to someone who actually does have a yacht and, how much work is it? And like, who would you hire to look after it and all of that stuff. So, yeah, this is a good one.
it
Learn from the experts. Like, you really do need to do some digging. Like, do you really want that? Or do you
it
want a
rem
friend that has a yacht?
or do you want to rent a yacht once a year for a week? Um,
Yeah.
it might have been Jack Canfield that said it, or it might have been somebody else. I don't remember now, but I heard somebody say everybody says they want to be rich, or a majority of people say they want to be rich, but almost nobody, when you look at their actions, is doing anything to even attempt to be rich, let alone taking meaningful actions to do so. Everybody, a vast majority of people will say, yeah, I want to be rich. But are they spending their free time reading books on building wealth? Are they spending their free time learning and modeling people who are rich, whatever their definition of rich is? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
answer for most people who report that they want to be rich is no, they're not doing anything about it. So do they really want that? Or is that just like what they're saying? Right.
Yeah.
And then there's some people who report, or maybe they don't even talk about it, but they genuinely want to be rich or successful or whatever, rich on their terms, whatever that means for them. And you don't see them or hear them because they're off taking action. They're off learning. They're off modeling experts. Right. And then
Yeah.
one day there they are sailing by on their yacht. Right. By the way,
Yeah.
Alana, yachts are like old news. It's all about super yachts
Oh,
these days, which is
okay.
basically like a privately owned cruise ship, right? And then you get into things like the cost of the crew, right? Forget about
Yeah.
insurance on the ship itself. What about life insurance and benefits for the 50 people it takes to run and maintain your super yacht, Alana? So let's get real here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to up level my self image, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. You need to take your own self-image workshop, but add super yachts to the mix.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? I just want to add one more thing. And I feel like
sure.
this key is turning into its own episode.
Yeah,
But oftentimes, you know, the money, the riches that come, that is the byproduct of the goal, right? So, what are you creating? How are you serving? What are you doing? Right? I think that, in my opinion, should be the goal. How are you helping? Who are you serving? What are you doing? What impact are you making? And then the byproduct of that is going to be the money, which is then going to buy you your super yacht and all the other things. But, I think sometimes we might get bogged down with the money as the goal. And I think that's the easiest thing because that's the thing that you can measure,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
sometimes hard to be like, I want to change the world. Well, how do you measure that? How do you quantify that? So then it turns into, well, I want to make $1 million, $10 million, whatever. But
yeah,
how are you? I think to add on to that, how are you getting there
yeah.
is
Agreed.
important.
Yeah,
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there
cool.
as an
Okay,
add on.
So learn from the experts. In other words, learn from the experts. Okay. We got two more.
Yeah, two more.
Should we make a part three? Should we make them wait? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, that's
Give it
too
to 'em now.
much.
Too
These
much.
ones, I think the last two, we'll make them quick.
Yeah. If you want to hear the last two, send $11 to Ryan Montes. Anyways, now number 8 or number 9. Number 9 is master how to say no.
Uh-huh.
Master how to, that means set boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think a successful entrepreneur or a successful person who lives a life of freedom would say, guard your time. Guard your time. You only have limited time. And if you want to make stuff happen, you need to be spending a lot of your limited time doing the things that are going to produce the results that you want.
Yeah.
And I think this is where people are kind of wishy-washy with setting boundaries. People are really good about setting boundaries with the money they spend, right? They'll spend $3 on the coffee, but $5 on the coffee. No way, that's crazy. When in reality, like $2 is not going to break the bank, right? Yeah. But people will be so protective of that $2, but then they'll spend 30, 45 minutes, an hour, in some meaningless event or conversation or whatever, watching TV that does nothing to move them towards their goals, except to deprive them from time that they could otherwise be spending building the business or doing the exercise or becoming fit or whatever, or finding the soulmate. So when I hear this, master how to say no, the way it translates in my mind is protect your time.
Yeah.
So that you can spend it the way you want to and choose to.
Yeah. I almost think this should have been at the top of the list because this is really important. And I would say that this was the one thing that I learned that really accelerated my output, I would say. Before I used to just want to kind of be liked by everybody. And I would just, I was a people pleaser. I would say yes to everything. But then I would be resentful because I'm like, oh, I'm missed out on, being able to get these things done. And because I was talking too long to this person outside. So, if the sooner you can master how to say no and set boundaries that are very clear, the faster you're going to get to your goal. So maybe move this up to like number 3 on the list. Figure this out. And if, if you do find yourself often saying yes when you really want to say no, that's like a clear indicator that, you have some subconscious work, some subconscious stuff that you need to clean up. Because chances are you're doing a lot of things because you're wanting to be liked. And we can get rid of that really quickly, like one session.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I'm going to email Christina Dronin, who wrote this list that we're kind of referring to, and be like, look, talked it over with my co-host, and number 9 on your list needs to be number 3 on your list. And also, we need greater consistency in the title of this list, which changes throughout the article. No, I'm just kidding, Christina Dronin. Your article's awesome. Okay. We got to talk to Alana about that. Number 10. Number 10. This one's interesting. This one's kind of like vague and abstract, but I'll take it. Number 10, the last one on the list. Remember those David Letterman top 10 lists?
Yeah.
Those are always fun. I used to like it when he would have like celebrities deliver the top 10 list. Anyway, number 10 is invest in relationships. Invest in relationships. I have a quote from Zig Ziglar, the late, the great. He said, you can get anything you want in life. You can have anything you want in life if you will just help enough people get what they want in life first, which is very valuable advice. Probably, even if you're a solopreneur, even if you're very independent, you're not going to be able to do everything all on your own, right? Yeah. And I mean, it's as simple as the fact that you will need customers, right? Yeah. You will need people to pay for your services. So even if it's a one man or one lady or one person business you're running, it's not, because there's going to be other people investing in you. So getting in the habit, we talked about habits last episode, of cultivating rapport with other human people is very important.
Hmm.
Very important indeed. Thoughts, Lynn?
Yeah. I mean, this should be moved up the list too, honestly.
Christina, don't drone in. We have another adjustment to make of your list.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this has been probably next to learning how to say no. Investing in relationships and having a support network has been like paramount. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
In my success and just in like keeping going because it's invaluable. And especially when you're an entrepreneur and maybe like your family and your friends are not, they don't understand what you're up to, right? Like they don't get it. And so you need to have a group of people or even just one person who really believes in you and is going to push you forward. I'm so grateful for meeting Ryan because Ryan was the person who, or I'm speaking as though I'm not even talking to you, but like, you know, you were the person who brought me into like a much larger group. And now I'm friends with you. I'm friends with lots of people that were from your group. So, and it's just like created this like safe community for me to be in and share and grow and learn and, you know, work together. It's been it's been the best. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So investing in relationships for me is like number one. Um, I guess after having a plan and
Yeah.
having a goal, because I don't know what I would have done without you and everybody else I've met through you.
Yeah. It's there's so many benefits, right? And that's one of the cool things about becoming a coach is that you never, or not never, but less often do you need to pay for coaching because when you become
Yeah.
a coach, you're surrounded by other coaches,
Yeah.
right? And so, there's often or always somebody who you can just get on a Zoom call with and say, hey, I got this roadblock or this challenge or this thing, and work through it together, right? Um, or hash out business, or just having the, like, I don't really care for this term, this word, but having your
Yeah.
tribe around you, like, is so important. And just like when you're having those days where motivation is dipping, or whatever, you've had some setbacks, just having other people who are in the same boat, who are in the same world as you, just say it and to talk to about
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
can be a huge relief and a huge help.
Massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to not view these people as competition. And I think that that's something that happens where you almost isolate yourself because you don't want to, I don't know, share your secrets or whatever it is. But like, I don't look at anybody. I mean, like I guess Ryan and I are competitors, but I don't look at it that way at all, right? Because we're very different and we
Yeah.
offer different things. And same thing with like other friends of mine who are coaches. I don't look at them as I'm competing with them. I want to send them business. I want to help them and vice versa. How can we all work together? I think that's so key. And one thing I want to mention is when I started my fabric store, I tried to create a group of the other women who own fabric stores in Canada. And I sent out an email and I was like, oh, I've got such a great idea. Like, we can all kind of like, meet once a month and talk about things and talk about challenges. And, it was kind of like a little online fabric store mastermind, maybe. And only one person was interested. And no, like most of them, A, didn't even reply to my email, and B, were just like, no, like you're a competitor and that won't work for me. And I remember just feeling so deflated after that and just being like, why not? Like, this is such a cool opportunity.
Yeah.
But
You know
whatever.
what's funny about that, Alana? The um the CEO of Wendy's, I'm sure, is out on the golf course,
Golf course.
twice a month with the CEO of McDonald's and the CEO of, Subway, right? Because like when you're thriving, there is no competition. When you're a thriving coach and you're offering great value, you understand that abundance isn't just a nice idea from self-help books. It's the real thing. We live in a
Mhm.
world of abundance. There's 7 billion potential um, clients out there, human beings, and most of whom are not going to hire one, service over the course of their life, right? Nobody's going to be like, well, I'm only eating at Wendy's for the rest of my life. So
Yeah,
even though if somebody's, visiting your competitor today, maybe they're going to visit you tomorrow, and maybe they're going to visit a different competitor the next day. The concept of competition is outdated, I think, and
yeah,
really, especially in our industry, in the empowerment industry. Other coaches who are skilled and work in integrity, we don't see each other as competition. We just see each other as compadres, as colleagues,
totally.
right? Yeah. Um, yeah. So all that to say, invest in relationships, connect with people.
Yeah,
People are power. I guess that's it.
yeah. Those are the keys, the golden keys, the golden powerful keys.
The ultimate keys. We should thank the author of this. I mean, we didn't really go into 99% of what she mentioned in the article, more so just what she thought were the top 10 keys to success, which I do like. The article that we're referencing was written, I believe, by Christina Dronin at finallyfamilyhomes.org. I'm not really too familiar with this site, but there's a bunch of articles about success and personal development and stuff. So thank you, Christina Dronin, for your article that we've been referring to. Anyways, anything else to add, Alana?
No, just a final thing. I'm just looking at the bottom of this article, and she's recommending to read Atomic Habits. Have you read that book?
I don't think so. I've
No,
read so many books now that I literally can no longer remember which personal
I know.
development books I've read and I have not. That one, yeah, I really don't know if I've read that one.
Yeah, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've heard of this book. It
Oh,
is a
I'm
New York.
definitely aware of it. I
Yeah.
definitely know the book. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
don't remember if I've read it or not.
Yeah. I think I read it on the Headway app.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, which is just sort of like it's an app that basically is like the Coles notes of books. You can
Yeah.
listen to them, you can read them. So I read it on that, but I haven't actually like read the book. But it is something that I have thought about buying it. Anyway, if you liked this episode, you may like the book Atomic Habits as well. So,
Which neither myself nor Alana have either read or remember reading, but we're happy to recommend because we've heard it's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a New York Times bestseller. So I mean, how can you go wrong?
How can how can you go wrong? Yeah.
And pretty
Cool.
much everyone I know has read it too, like in the coaching world. So
Yeah, it's one of those books that
you hear
everybody's
about
read.
it referenced all the time. So
Yeah.
there's
Wouldn't it be
some
funny if
summer reading for you.
it'd be funny if nobody's read it and it's just like everybody's just heard of it and knows it's good, but nobody's actually taken the time to sit down and really read it. It's just like this weird viral word of mouth of this book that no one's actually read. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
James
now, you know
Clear,
what?
if you're listening.
I think now
Everybody loves your book, James Clear.
we need to read it, Ryan. Now we need to read it and do an episode on it.
Oh, okay. All right. Fine. Whatever. I'll read a book.
Yeah.
No, I actually read a lot, but okay, yeah, I'm down with that. That's cool. We can do that.
Okay.
All right. So I guess that's
Oh,
it for today.
maybe I should let's just do a quick recap. No, like a really quick recap. So
Okay.
1 through 10. 1 is make a plan. 2,
Yeah.
prepare for the unexpected. 3, prioritize your goals. 4, develop good habits. 5, learn from your mistakes. 6, try different strategies. 7, take smart risks. 8, learn from the experts. Find a mentor. 9, master how to say no. And 10, invest in relationships and don't view people in your industry as competitors. So
Yeah.
those are the keys. I mean, this episode could have been like a little masterclass. So I hope you took notes. And that's it for today.
Yeah. That's it for today. And enjoy your fine gourmet cheeses from around the world. and your German sports cars and your Swiss timepieces
And your
for
super
those of you
yacht.
and you're on your super yacht. Yeah. Now that you know the keys to success. All right. Thanks, Alana. This has been awesome. See you next time.
Thanks, everyone.